Hello everybody, AJ Ryzik here, and today we are taking a look at Ubuntu Mate 17.04. Now, if you are unfamiliar with Mate, what is it, what's all that about? Mate is the desktop environment that we are using here. It is a fork and a continuation of the old Gnome 2 desktop environment, which back in its day, it was one of the most popular, if not the most popular, desktop environment for Ubuntu and a host of other distributions out there. So basically what you got is you've got a recreation of that desktop environment here. Mate is now on version 1.18. You have the latest Mate version here, so you're running with the latest and the greatest as far as that desktop goes with this distribution. So let's kind of start things out by taking a look at the welcome screen that they've got here. Now, a lot of distributions have welcome screens, but ever since Ubuntu Mate came around, it has probably had the best one, or maybe one of the best ones, as far as welcome screens go. And you've got the usual stuff that you see on a lot of welcome screens, links to donate and shopping to buy stuff to help keep the project funded and running and all that, how to get involved with the project, community links, chat links, that kind of stuff. What kind of sets this one apart, it's got a lot of stuff in it that will really help new users or even just people that are unfamiliar with Ubuntu Mate. If you go to introduction, it tells you a little bit about the history, the project's objectives, about the Mate desktop, that kind of thing. So definitely some nice reading there. Under features, kind of highlight some of the best stuff that they've got going on here. Getting started, this is the part that really I really like this, especially for new users. Click one of these boxes to learn a little bit about, for example, drivers or changing languages or customizing and setting up keyboard shortcuts, all that kind of stuff. So lots of good information there. And as well, if you come down here to where it says software and click that, it will start up what is called the software boutique. And from here you can install a lot of software. Now, a good chunk of this is available through the regular Ubuntu repositories, but some of it is not. So really nice that you've got, I would say, not every piece of the software from the official Ubuntu repositories you will find in the software boutique. What you will find though is ones that people are going to ask for more commonly, or sometimes there are ones that are a little more difficult to install, but some great options here. Like you can see, they got you can install Chrome through here, and we've got Skype through here, and it's categorized so you can kind of scroll through, kind of see what's available. Or there's a little search up here. So if you know what it is that you're looking for, you can search for it real quick. Actually, I installed my simple screen recorder. I installed that through here. A couple other pieces of software, very nice. And one feature I really like, and I can't remember if it's new to 1704 or not, but maybe I just missed it in previous version, is you can set up a queue so that if you got multiple pieces of software you want to install, you can do them all at once. So like, let's just, for example, we'll go and we'll install our Ardor, and what else we want to, let's install Audacity, and what else we want to, Clementine, that's a music player I really like, and I don't know, let's install Handbrake too. So all those. And if you come up here to where it says bulk queue, and you want to click apply changes, and it'll install all that stuff that you just added to your list. Let's put in my password. and boom, it'll install that. Now, before you go and install, you can go and if you have a second thoughts on installing Audacity, for example, yeah, you can go and cancel the install and do that. Let's see. There we go. And you will sometimes get pop-up boxes on different things that you're installing. You may need to install something else alongside it, or you have different options, that sort of thing. But anyway, really nice. Really makes it convenient for especially the new users, may not be real familiar with installing software on a Linux system, and even for those of us that are old hands at running Linux. It's easy, it's convenient. You know, you install your system and boom, I need to install blah blah blah. You go to that to this thing, one click installation, boom, everything is done. Very nice software tool. Moving on from the welcome screen and software boutique, let's take a look at our default desktop layout. Now, the layout that we have going on here, it is your default layout, and it is very similar to what you had back in the old GNOME 2 days. So just kind of walking through it real quick. Up on your top panel, and you've got both the top and the bottom panel. So in the upper panel, left hand corner, you've got your application, and allow you to browse through your various applications, and it's all categorized. So you know, it's a simple menu, categorized, so you know, drop downs, that sort of thing, so you can just kind of scroll through there. Places is going to be, you know, basically drive places, so your home folder, desktop folder, you know, all of your connected drives, all that kind of thing. Then down at the bottom, some recent documents. System is going to be stuff for controlling your system, so administrative stuff, preferences, links to the control center, about the Mate desktop, lock the screen, log out, all that kind of stuff. And then we have a quick launch for Firefox or web browser. Then over on the other side, we've got our tray icons. So like you can see this red dot right here, that's for simple screen recorder, which is what I'm using to record this video. And then we've got our internet connection, sound, time and date, little calendar that can drop down from there, and power button right there. And then moving down to the bottom panel, we've got this button over in the corner is called the Show Desktop. And let me open up a few things just so I can kind of demo it. We'll open that, and we'll open another instance there, and let's do another one there maybe. Now, let's cancel that one. But anyway, that two ought to be enough. So anyway, Show Desktop, you click on that, and every application becomes minimized. You can see your desktop. So if you got a lot of icons in that on your desktop, and you know, various folders and whatnot, you can go and use that as a quick way to get to the desktop so you can find that icon. Personally, I like my desktop completely clear, so it's not something I really use. But if you do use desktop icons, it's probably going to be a nice little tool for you. So anyway, we got that, and then you can see all of our running applications. And then moving over to the right hand side, you can see our workplace switcher. So if you're using multiple workspaces, you can switch between them from here. And then right next to that, we've got our trash bin. You can go and empty that you know, real quickly and easily from your desktop. Now, you are not stuck with the default desktop layout. There's multiple options. You can customize it completely, or they've got some predefined layouts for you. So let's go, and we will open up, we'll go to our control center. And control center is pretty nice. Basically anything administrative, you've got access to it here. So software and updates, startup disk creator, the welcome screen, time and date, all that kind of stuff you got access here. But if we go down to where it says look and feel, and we can go to this Mate tweak tool, or Mate tweak tool, sorry. So like I mentioned before, I don't like icons on my desktop. You can either specify which ones you want, or if you're like me, get rid of them all. clear the desktop. Down here to interface, you got some options, show icons and menus, on icons on buttons, a few other things as well. Panels, from here you got a variety of pre-made panel layouts, and then you can also go and customize one, save it, so that if you're changing things around and want to go back to something you had set up before, you can go there. So like I said, this is the Ubuntu Mate layout. It's very similar to the older GNOME 2 desktop. Slightly different, but not by much. There's this Fedora, which I'm going to say that that's probably like an old school Fedora GNOME 2 kind of layout. But the ones that I'm really like, oh, and then this Redmond, this is supposed to, it's somewhat similar to a Windows layout, Windows type layout. You see, you got a single pop-up menu here, a couple of hot links, and it's similar to a Windows layout. The netbook, it gives you something that's fairly compact in a single upper panel. But this, let me find it. This Mutiny, this one's pretty interesting in that it gives you something similar to Ubuntu's Unity layout. You've got a panel with launchers over on the left-hand side. You got a single bar running across the top, and I believe, let me go and open up LibreOffice here. I believe that it'll also do global menus, so you have menus up in the panel. Let me fire this up and see if it'll actually do that. No, at least it doesn't on LibreOffice. Let's try one of the regular GNOME applications. Let's open up our home folder. Yeah, with your GTK applications, your menus will pop up here in the top panel. Now, personally, that's not really my thing, and I'm saying that now my there we go, is just lagging a little bit. I was about to say that my my file manager wasn't closing, but just a little bit of a lag there. Anyway, so there's that Mutiny. The one that I've been liking is this Pantheon, and you've got this dock down at the bottom, which is the plank dock. I'm not a big dock fan, so that part I couldn't care about. But with this layout, you do get the new brisk menu, which is this menu right here. Now, what I like about the brisk menu, it is searchable. So you don't have to scroll through there looking for what you're wanting. So like I want LibreOffice Writer, I can just start typing Writer, and boom, it pulls up. It's very snappy, very easy to use. I really like that menu. So personally, if I was going to set this up for the way that I work, I would leave that. Oh, we've got an internal error, and I've had this a few times. Couple of times where I've gotten a error from the Mate panel, and I've had it a couple of times with Mate Maximus crashing. It's not really been showstoppers, just mainly like an annoyance, but just kind of point that out. Have had a couple of errors. So anyway, for me, I would set it up like that. And like I said, it's kind of annoying. I really don't have a use for the places and system menus, so I get rid of those. I do like the pull down terminal, so I'm going to click on that. There we go. And why those places? There we go. It's just lagging a little bit. So for me personally, that's kind of how I lay it out. I would probably even get rid of Plank, just because, like I said, it's not something that me personally I am going to use. I'm going to do keyboard search for everything through that menu. So no real reason for me to have a dock. But like I said, you can go and set this up the way that you want and save a particular layout. Very very nice and easy way to set up your desktop exactly the way that you want it. And while we're on the Monte tweak tool, coming down here to where it says Windows, you can enable or don't have or get rid of the window animations. You got some options for window behavior. Where do you want your window controls on, left or right? And then window manager, you can go and select from the Marco compositor the Marco window manager with no compositor, Marco with a software compositor. I have chosen Marco with the Compton GPU compositor, and then there is also using Compiz, which is an advanced GPU accelerated desktop effects. So if you want to do, the desktop cube, the wobbly windows, all those neat effects, you can do that with Compiz. However, it does use up more resources. To me, this is kind of the best balanced Marco with Compton. At least for my system, no screen tearing, no issues with the window edges tearing when you're moving them around, that sort of thing. So that's kind of pretty smooth and whatnot. Now I will say that if you decide to go with Compiz and so you can have those fancy effects, you will need to add the Compiz manager so that you can set up all of your fancy effects and however you want it. But I may do a video on that later on, although I've done previous videos showing how to set up Compiz, so you might want to take a look at some of those. So anyway, while we're talking about the look and whatnot of your desktop, I will say the one thing that it's not bad, but it's more of a personal preference kind of thing. To me, the look and feel of the desktop is dated. When I look at it, I think I'm looking at a early version of Ubuntu. And if that's the kind of look that you enjoy, that's fine. Me personally, it's just not really the look that I want. And once again, like I said, it's more of a personal issue. I like the newer flat themes. I don't really like the theming that they've got going on here. But you can go into appearance. There are several themes installed by default. I've gone and installed some other ones. You can go online, pull some more down, customize it exactly the way that you want, and that is one of the great things about the Monte desktop, is just how customizable it is. So for me, where was that one? Yeah, this series of Vimix themes, those are some of the ones that I really like. So I'm going to do this Vimix Dark laptop, and then since you kind of got the green accents going on with the Monte desktop, we'll go ahead and we'll stick with this Vimix Dark laptop barrel. That gives you a kind of a green look. We'll go with that, and then we'll customize it even more. We'll stick with their window, and for icons we will go to, let me find it. I've tried a couple different ones. I like this Mate Fans of Dark. That's a pretty, at least I think, a pretty neat looking set of icons. Yeah, we'll go with that one there. Pointer. Yeah, that's good. And you will. I'm not a real fan of that paper icon theme, so I did not install it, which is why I'm getting this little pop-up, because that is for the Vimix themes. That is the default icon theme for it. Personally, not a big fan of it, so I did not install that. Want to change the wallpaper? You can come here. Lots of good ones installed by default. I did not change any of these or add anything to it. But lots of good stuff here, so you can go and pick something different if you want. that is closer to what I would like. That's more my thing. Performance has been pretty good. It's fairly light on the resources, as you can see right now. I've got my system monitor up and running, and I am using 1.6 gigs of RAM. Now remember that 1.6, I'm running that system monitor. I've got a webcam recorder going. I've got a screencasting recording tool going on. So there's a lot of stuff, processes that are running, and still I'm fairly light on the resources. Baseline, I was right around 500 to 550 megs of RAM at startup, which, while that is fairly light, that is heavier than when I tested out Ubuntu Mate 16.4. So what the change is that has caused, using more RAM, I don't know. But still, that is still fairly lightweight. Definitely lighter than like Ubuntu Unity or the Gnome 3 desktop. So no real big deal there. I mean, really, that would only come into play if you're on a older machine or something where like maybe a netbook or whatever, where you only had maybe 1 gig of RAM or something like that. In which case, you're going to want to use, no compositing and other things to try to conserve your resources. While we're talking performance, as far as everything running, for the most part, it's been pretty good. You've seen that I've had a few errors, a couple of crashes. I haven't had any major showstoppers. What I have had is, those little error messages that you saw, more annoying than anything else. Haven't really had any applications crash or anything like that. So not flawless performance, but definitely, I would definitely say it's acceptable. And hopefully, as we move on from a couple months down the road from when 1704 was released, those bugs will have been addressed and fixed, and we're good to go. So, other new stuff that we see in this release. I mean, we've already talked about the Mate desktop. You are on the latest version, 1.18. So you get, along with the actual desktop environment, all the applications that are part of it, the file manager, the text editor, all that kind of stuff. You're getting the latest versions of that as well. You also have newer versions of other software that has been included in this distribution. So like LibreOffice, that has been upgraded to the 5.3 series, Firefox, newer version, Thunderbird, newer version. So all kinds of new stuff there. Linux kernel has been upgraded to the 4.10 series. Lots of new stuff there. Better compatibility with some newer hardware. Also some better compatibility with some of the newer processors that are out there. So a lot of good stuff there. Probably one of the biggest changes for Ubuntu 17.04 series, and this isn't just the Ubuntu Mate, but the entire series as a whole. We have gone from a swap partition to swap files. Now, with your swap, traditionally when you had a swap partition, you wanted that to be the same size or slightly larger than the amount of RAM that your system was running. When you had 1 or 2 gigabytes of RAM, that wasn't a big deal. You could give up a gig or two of space on your hard drive. Fast forward to 2017, I'm running 16 gigs of RAM. I know several people that are running 32 gigs of RAM. That's a lot of space to give up on your hard drive, and may never use it, or very rarely use it. The swap files, it basically takes a as needed kind of approach to swap. You don't have to have a cannot talk. Do not have to have a dedicated partition. So in the big picture of things, I think that's a good move. I'm sure that there are pluses and minuses to swap space or swap partition versus swap files, but this is the direction that Ubuntu is going for the future. And probably the other big thing for Ubuntu users in general, starting with the 17.04 series, is driverless printing. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a printer that I can demonstrate this with, but with driverless printing, if you got one of these newer printers that is compatible with that feature, basically you turn your computer on and you don't have to install any drivers or anything. It just boom, instantly it recognizes that that printer is available and uses it. Like I said, I do not have one of those newer printers. My printer's a few years old, so really can't demonstrate that. But check out on YouTube. There's quite a few videos demonstrating this. If you go over to Quid's channel, he does a video showing this, and it seems to work great. So definitely check that out. And having said all that, I think we're pretty much done with this review. Overall, this is a good release. If you are running Ubuntu Mate 16.04, I don't necessarily think that I would go and switch to 17.04. If you really want to have, you got to have that latest Mate desktop and that sort of thing. Okay, I can see making the move. But otherwise, 16.04 long-term support release, still got plenty of life in it. I really don't see a reason to change. If you are on 16.10, I would go ahead and upgrade just because you're going to have a longer service life. 17.04 will be supported much longer than 16.10. But like I said, all in all, pretty good release. Found a few bugs, nothing major, nothing earth-shattering there. I think that the Ubuntu Mate, it's one of those releases or one of those Linux OSs where it can be everything to everybody. It's kind of good general purpose. There's a lot of neat features there. It can cater to both the new user and the advanced user as well. So definitely worth checking out. So got any comments, questions, all that kind of stuff, leave it down below. I try to get to it as soon as possible. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. And if you are a subscriber, please share this video with others. See if we can get some more subscribers on the channel. And as always, I hope to see you all on my next video. Thanks a lot.